From elevated timber homes built to beat the heat to grand red brick classics and breezy coastal retreats, Australia's house styles are as diverse as its landscape. But do you really know what each one says about our history, climate, and culture? Let's uncover the story behind every iconic Aussie home. 1. Aboriginal architecture, Australia's first shelter. Long before European settlers, Aboriginal Australians built shelters perfectly suited to the climate and landscape. These weren't permanent houses, but practical, adaptable structures made from bark, grass, branches, and leaves. In cooler areas, they created simple dome-shaped huts, or bark lean-tos, while in hotter regions they built windbreaks or shelters covered in spinifex. These homes were often temporary, easy to build, take down, and move with the seasons. Aboriginal shelters showed deep knowledge of the land. Builders chose sites for shade, wind protection, and access to water. Despite being basic, the shelters were smartly designed, cool in the heat, dry during rain, and made with natural, local materials. This form of living was deeply sustainable, low impact, and in tune with nature. Today, Aboriginal building traditions still influence modern eco-friendly designs, especially those focused on natural ventilation and harmony with the environment. 2. Early colonial style, the beginning of British influence. Starting around 1788, early British settlers brought architectural styles from home, blending them with the new colony's materials and conditions. These early colonial homes were simple, practical, and symmetrical. Often 1 or 2 rooms deep, they were built from stone, brick, or timber, and featured hipped roofs and small multi-paned windows. Ornamentation was minimal, but as time went on, modest decorative touches like fanlights above doors and central hallways began to appear. These homes reflected Georgian influences, balanced and neat, with a focus on proportion rather than decoration. But Australia's harsher climate led to quick adaptations. Verandas became a common feature, offering shade and cooling breezes. Materials were often sourced locally, so even with English designs, homes had a distinctly Australian character. Though basic by today's standards, early colonial homes laid the foundation for future architecture in the country. They were the first attempt to shape the unfamiliar Australian environment into something livable, combining European ideals with New World realities. 3. Regency style, urban elegance emerges. As Australia's colonies grew wealthier in the early 19th century, architecture began to reflect that prosperity, especially in cities like Sydney and Hobart. The Regency style introduced a touch of elegance and refinement. Inspired by British trends, these homes featured balanced facades, tall windows, slender columns or pilasters, and low-pitched roofs. Iron lacework became a signature detail, especially on verandas, adding a delicate decorative charm. Regency houses moved beyond the purely functional. Interiors saw higher ceilings, ornate plasterwork, and a stronger sense of proportion and symmetry. These homes marked a shift from rural practicality to emerging urban sophistication. Though still modest by European standards, they brought grace to the colonial streetscape. Importantly, Regency architecture was adapted to Australian conditions. Verandas offered sun protection, while large windows welcomed cooling breezes. It represented a maturing society, one that was beginning to shape its own identity, while still leaning on European influence. 4. Victorian style, ornate, ambitious, and grand. The Victorian era, fueled by Australia's gold rush in the mid to late 1800s, brought a boom in wealth, and with it a dramatic shift in home design. Victorian houses were bold and elaborate, often decorated with cast iron lace, intricate timber fretwork, and tall, narrow windows. There were multiple sub-styles, from the Italianate with bracketed eaves to Gothic revival with pointed arches, and the iconic filigree terraces seen in many cities. Homes featured high ceilings, detailed plaster cornices, bay windows, and wide verandas trimmed with decorative elements. Materials like brick and stone were common, and the overall look was heavily ornamented and aspirational. These weren't just homes, they were status symbols. Inside, polished timber floors, decorative fireplaces, and patterned ceilings gave a sense of grandeur. The Victorian style reflected a society that was growing confident and expressive. While often seen in urban areas, its impact shaped Australian residential design for decades. 5. Queenslander style, raised, breezy, and tropical. Designed to suit Queensland's hot, humid climate, the Queenslander emerged in the late 19th century as a unique and practical Australian home. These houses were built on timber stumps or stilts, lifting them off the ground to improve airflow, reduce flood risk, and allow space underneath for storage or shade. The raised design also helped cool the home naturally, perfect for tropical conditions. Queenslanders were usually made of timber with deep, wraparound verandas that provided shade and protection from rain. Decorative balustrades, lattice panels, and external staircases gave each house charm and character. Inside, high ceilings and breezeways encouraged air circulation, while wide hallways and large windows kept interiors airy and bright. Their beauty lay in their function. Every design feature had a climate-based purpose. Even today, Queenslanders remain an iconic part of Northern Australia's architectural identity, blending colonial influence with smart, climate-responsible design that has stood the test of time. 6. Workers' cottage, compact, practical, and urban. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, as Australian cities expanded, a new kind of home emerged to house the growing working class: the workers' cottage. These small, simple houses were built close together in inner-city suburbs, designed to be affordable, fast to construct, and space-efficient. Most were single-fronted, meaning narrow across the front but long in depth, often with 2 or 3 rooms arranged in a straight line. Materials depended on location and budget. Some were built from timber weatherboards, others from brick. Roofs were typically made of corrugated iron, and almost every cottage had a small front veranda, often with minimal decorative detail. Interiors were modest, with just the essentials: bedrooms, a kitchen, and sometimes a small living space. Despite their humble design, workers' cottages played a vital role in Australia's urban development. They brought character to suburbs, and many have since been renovated to blend heritage charm with modern living. Today, they're considered desirable for their historic appeal and clever use of space. 7. Federation style, DCU architectural identity. Around 1901, as Australia became a unified nation, a new style of home emerged that proudly reflected national identity: the Federation style. Inspired by Queen Anne and Edwardian architecture, Federation homes embraced red brick exteriors, terracotta-tiled roofs, and decorative timber fretwork. They often featured front verandas with turned posts, timber arches, and lead-light windows that added rich character. These houses were full of intricate detail. Interiors included pressed metal ceilings, stained glass, and ornamental fireplaces. Floor plans favored separate rooms with generous proportions, giving families comfort and privacy. The Federation style blended British influence with uniquely Australian touches, like wide verandas for shade and steep gables suited to local weather. Federation homes felt both stately and welcoming. They marked a shift toward a more confident, locally adapted architecture. Even today, these homes are prized for their beauty and craftsmanship, seen as symbols of Australian pride and heritage. 8. California bungalow, simple, stylish, and suburban. Arriving from the U.S. in the early 20th century, the California bungalow quickly became one of Australia's most beloved suburban house styles. These homes were single-story, with low-pitched gabled roofs and wide front verandas supported by brick or timber pillars. They stood in stark contrast to the ornate Victorian and Federation styles, embracing simplicity, natural materials, and a relaxed lifestyle. Exteriors were usually timber weatherboard or brick, often with wide eaves and exposed rafters. Interiors prioritized open-plan living, with combined lounge and dining areas, built-in cabinetry, and a practical layout. Floor plans were efficient and cozy, perfect for growing families. Front gardens and deep verandas gave them a welcoming, homey feel. The California bungalow became especially popular in the 1920s and 30s as Australia's suburbs expanded. Affordable, attractive, and easy to build, it helped define the look of the modern Australian suburb. Even now, renovated bungalows remain highly sought after for their character and charm. 9. Spanish Mission, exotic, decorative, and glamorous. In the 1920s and 30s, Australian suburbs, especially the wealthier ones, saw the rise of the Spanish Mission style. Inspired by Mediterranean and Hollywood influences, these homes stood out with their white or cream stucco walls, arched doorways and windows, and terracotta tiled roofs. The overall look was romantic and theatrical, offering a sense of luxury and escape. This style wasn't just about looks. It reflected an era fascinated with exotic design. Interiors often featured decorative plasterwork, wrought iron fixtures, and timber ceiling beams. Some homes even included tiled courtyards, fountains, or arched verandas to complete the Mediterranean vibe. Though not as widespread as other styles, Spanish mission houses made a big visual impact. They were symbols of aspiration and global influence during a time of prosperity. Today, these homes are prized for their unique charm and bold presence, especially in historic suburbs where 10. Fibro Cottage, affordable, fast, and functional. Following World War II, Australia faced a housing shortage, and the solution came in the form of the humble Fibro Cottage. Built quickly and cheaply, these homes used fibro sheeting and asbestos cement product paired with corrugated iron roofs and timber frames. The design was usually small and rectangular, with 2 or 3 bedrooms and a basic kitchen and living area. These cottages were minimal and functional. Interiors were plain, often lacking decorative features. Built for speed and affordability, they helped house growing families during a period of economic recovery. Though not known for beauty, fibro homes served a critical role in suburban expansion. Over time, awareness of asbestos risks led many homeowners to renovate or reclad these homes for safety and comfort. Despite their modest origins, fibro cottages now represent an important part of Australia's post-war story, a symbol of resilience, rebuilding, and the birth of the modern Aussie suburb. 11. War service homes, modest, practical, and post-war ready. After World War II, the Australian government launched the War Service Home Scheme to help returning soldiers settle into civilian life. These houses were simple, single-story dwellings made from brick veneer or weatherboard. Their layouts were practical, typically featuring 2 or 3 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and 1 bathroom. Roofs were low-pitched, and architectural detail was kept minimal. The goal was speed and efficiency. Built across expanding suburbs, these homes helped ease the post-war housing crisis while giving families a fresh start. Interiors were basic but functional, often with timber floors and plain plaster walls. Yards were large enough for gardens or sheds, reflecting the post-war dream of home ownership and self-sufficiency. While not grand, war service homes were solid and dependable. They laid the groundwork for suburban development and introduced the concept of mass-produced housing, which would later influence project homes and volume builders across the country. 12. Mid-century modern, sleek, open, and sunlit. Emerging in the 1950s and 60s, mid-century modern brought a clean, minimalist approach to Australian homes. Influenced by European and American design, architects like Harry Seidler introduced open-plan layouts, floor-to-ceiling glass, and flat or skillion roofs. The focus was on function, natural light, and seamless indoor-outdoor living. These homes used materials like brick, timber, and concrete. Interiors featured built-in furniture, split-level floors, and large windows that connected living spaces to nature. Design elements prioritized space, sunlight, and ventilation. Perfectly suited to Australia's relaxed lifestyle and temperate climate, mid-century modern homes often appeared in leafy suburbs and beachside areas. They rejected the heavy ornamentation of previous styles, favoring clean lines, natural textures, and efficient use of space. Today, they are highly prized for their timeless appeal, sustainable features, and architectural integrity that still feels modern decades later. 13. Triple-fronted brick veneer, solid, suburban, and straightforward. In the post-war boom of the 1950 S70S, Australia saw a wave of new suburbs filled with triple-fronted brick veneer homes. These houses were known for their solid, no-fuss design, low-pitched tile roofs, wide facades, and three distinct sections at the front, often a central entrance flanked by a living room and bedroom windows. Built with a brick veneer over timber framing, they offered a modern look with affordable construction. These homes prioritized function over flash. Interiors included polished timber floors, simple plaster cornices, and practical room layouts. Living areas were positioned at the front, with bedrooms and kitchens toward the back. Decorative touches were minimal, sometimes just a stone feature wall or tiled columns around the porch. The triple-fronted brick veneer became the standard family home, symbolizing stability and prosperity in the suburbs. Even today, many of these homes remain in older neighborhoods, some untouched, others modernized, but all reflecting a classic chapter in Australia's suburban story. 14. Queensland Contemporary, Modern Living, Tropical Roots. Evolving from the traditional Queenslander, Queensland Contemporary homes kept the elevated form but embraced modern design. These houses were still built on stumps or raised slabs to allow air circulation and flood protection, but heavy timber ornamentation was replaced with clean lines and minimalist styling. Underhouse areas often became carports or storage zones, maximizing space. Exteriors might use timber cladding, brick, or modern materials like steel and render. Large windows, open-plan interiors, and sliding glass doors promoted light, airflow, and indoor-outdoor connection, essential for the region's hot and humid climate. Roofs were typically metal, often skillion or low-pitched, with wide eaves to provide shade. Queensland Contemporary style reflects a blend of heritage and innovation. It respects the climatic logic of the original Queenslander while adopting a more streamlined, low-maintenance aesthetic. These homes suit modern families who want comfort, space, and sustainability, without losing that distinct Northern Australian feel. 15. Postmodern style, playful, bold, and eclectic. In the 1980s and 90s, Australian suburbs embraced a new look, postmodern architecture. Moving away from the minimalism of earlier decades, this style reintroduced historical references, but with a playful, often exaggerated twist. Homes featured mock Georgian facades, Mediterranean arches, faux columns, and pastel-colored renders. Sometimes it all appeared in the same house, creating a bold and eclectic visual mix. Postmodern homes often had double garages at the front, arched windows, tiled entryways, and sunken lounges inside. Spiral staircases, mirrored walls, and flashy details reflected the era's love of statement design. Floor plans were typically open, with spacious family rooms and kitchens that catered to a growing desire for comfortable indoor living. Though sometimes criticized for being overly decorative or kitsch, postmodern homes captured the mood of the time, expressive, optimistic, and not afraid to mix styles. Today, they're seen as nostalgic icons of suburban life in the late 20th century. 16. McMansions, grand, spacious, and controversial. From the late 1990s into the 2000s, Australian suburbs saw the rise of McMansions, large, multi-gabled homes built by volume developers. Often placed on narrow blocks, these homes maximized floor space with double-height entrances, oversized garages, and multiple living zones including home theaters, rumpus rooms, and open-plan kitchens. Exteriors mixed styles, Tuscan columns, French provincial windows, and Federation-style brickwork, all rolled into one bold statement. Built for growing families, McMansions offered comfort and scale at a relatively affordable price. Interiors boasted tiled floors, walk-in pantries, large bathrooms, and master suites with walk-in robes. Their size and presence gave a sense of luxury, even if the architectural purity was often debated. Critics argued that McMansions lacked character and ignored sustainability. Still, their popularity soared as they fulfilled suburban dreams of more space, more status. Today they remain a visible part of the modern suburban landscape, loved by some, critiqued by others, but undeniably impactful. 17. Contemporary, sustainable, smart, green, and future-focused. With rising environmental awareness, many Australians have turned to contemporary sustainable homes. Designed to reduce energy use, lower carbon footprints, and live more harmoniously with nature. These houses prioritize cross-ventilation, passive solar design, and natural materials like rammed earth, recycled timber, or insulated concrete. Roofs often feature solar panels, while water tanks and gray water systems are used for eco-friendly water management. The design focuses on open, flexible floor plans filled with natural light. Windows are placed strategically to capture winter sun and block summer heat. Interiors often use non-toxic paints, recycled finishes, and efficient appliances. Exteriors might include green roofs, external shading, or locally sourced materials that blend into the landscape. These homes show that sustainability doesn't mean sacrificing style. They blend innovation with Australian climate sensitivity, offering a blueprint for future living. Whether off-grid in the bush or integrated into suburban streets, sustainable homes are reshaping how Australians think about space, comfort, and responsibility. 18. Coastal style, relaxed, airy, and built for the beach. Designed for life by the sea, coastal homes embrace Australia's sun, sand, and surf culture. Common in beachside towns and waterfront suburbs, these houses are built to handle salty air, strong winds, and shifting dunes. Raised on stumps or piers for ventilation and flood safety, they often feature wide timber decks, large sliding doors, and open-plan living areas that connect effortlessly to the outdoors. Materials are chosen for durability. Weatherboards, corrugated metal roofs, and stainless steel fixtures. Light colors dominate the palette, both inside and out, to reflect heat and create a calm, breezy vibe. Interiors are typically simple and functional, with lots of windows for natural light and airflow. Sand-resistant flooring and low-maintenance finishes make them perfect for beach life. Coastal homes capture the spirit of laid-back Australian living. They blur the line between inside and outside, offering panoramic views, salty breezes, and a sense of freedom that fits perfectly with life by the ocean. 19. Modern farmhouse, rustic charm meets contemporary comfort. The modern farmhouse style blends traditional rural aesthetics with sleek, up-to-date features. While inspired by classic barns and homesteads, these homes are designed for today's lifestyles. You'll find large, open-plan kitchens, vaulted ceilings with exposed timber trusses, and wide verandas that wrap around the house, ideal for taking in the views of the Australian countryside. Materials often include weatherboard cladding, corrugated metal roofs, steel frames, and reclaimed timber. Interiors mix rustic charm with minimalist design. Think polished concrete floors, large kitchen islands, sliding barn doors, and light hill living spaces. Comfort is key, but so is connection to the land. Big windows and open layouts link the indoors with the outdoors, creating a relaxed and natural atmosphere. Popular in rural areas and even outer suburbs, modern farmhouses offer a peaceful lifestyle without sacrificing style. They reflect a desire to slow down, reconnect with nature, and enjoy the best of both traditional and modern living. Tiny homes, compact, clever, and sustainable. In recent years, tiny homes have gained popularity across Australia as a response to rising housing costs and a growing desire for simpler, more sustainable living. These compact dwellings, often under 40 square meters, are designed to maximize every inch of space. Some are built on trailers for mobility, while others use shipping containers or modular pods that can be placed on small plots of land. Despite their size, tiny homes are impressively functional. Smart design features like loft beds, fold-away furniture, built-in storage, and multi-purpose areas allow for comfortable daily life. Many are fully off-grid, using solar power, composting toilets, rainwater tanks, and low-energy appliances to reduce environmental impact. Tiny homes represent a shift in mindset toward minimalism, financial freedom, and conscious living. Whether used as permanent residences, backyard studios, or eco-retreats, they challenge traditional ideas of what a home must be and open the door to more flexible, thoughtful housing solutions. 21. Sydney School, natural, site-sensitive, and uniquely Australian. Developed during the 1960s and 70s, the Sydney School was less about flashy design and more about blending homes into the natural environment. Often built on steep, bush-covered sites around Sydney, these homes used raw materials like dark bricks, stained timber, and slate to echo the surrounding landscape. The goal was to create architecture that respected the terrain rather than dominate it. Large windows and split-level designs maximized views and light, while exposed rafters and earthy interiors gave a warm, grounded feel. Roof lines followed the slope of the land, and layouts were often unconventional, flowing with the contours of the site rather than forcing symmetry. The houses felt quiet and modest, almost disappearing into the trees. The Sydney School was a distinctly Australian response to modernism, less international and more local. It valued the bush, the climate, and a slower, more organic style of living. Today, its influence lives on in sustainable, site-responsive design,